Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. Brothers and sisters, we do not want you to be uninformed about those who sleep in death, so that you do not grieve like the rest of mankind who have no hope. For we believe that Jesus died and rose again, and so we believe that God will bring with Jesus those who have fallen asleep in him. According to the Lord's word, we tell you that we who are still alive, who are left until the coming of the Lord, will certainly not perceive those who have fallen asleep. For the Lord himself will come down from heaven with a loud command, with the voice of the archangels, and with the trumpet call of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. After that, we who are still alive and are left will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so we will be with the Lord forever. Therefore, encourage one another with these words. Thank you for joining us, Pearls with Veronica. Thank you for tuning us on Tuesday night at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us and share the file. I'm Jerry Woods Live Worldwide, and welcome to Positive Power, XXI Christian Media.
Good evening. Good evening, love. Where the Lord has made. Welcome to episode 32 of Pearls with Veronica. Tonight's episode is sponsored by Mr. Oscar Callers. I am your host, Veronica Brown, and this podcast is based on the transparency of our loss, grief, and adversities that we encounter as we navigate the rough terrains of life. A word of prayer before we begin. Oh God, we ask you to imprint your love into the depths of our hearts, for we believe that you have a great future for us, so that we can walk in our purpose and destiny that you have ordained for our lives. Have your way, oh God, for this platform and using me as a vessel in such a time as this. I'd like to thank God's manservant, Jerry Royce, and the Positive Power XXI Christian Media family for this platform of transparency, healing, growth, knowledge, and diversity. Most reading difficulties result from specific differences in the way the brain processes written words and text. Sometimes it's due to impoverished exposure to language and early literacy activities or lack of adequate instruction. Struggling readers may not be primarily auditory. They may need hooks for learning and remembering, or they may benefit from body motions that match the meaning of the words. Some have trouble handling a lot of details while learning. Not all have their basic sounds down pat, or they may mix up the sequence of letters and words. Usually, these differences are present from a young age. As a child who struggled with reading, my guest, Lee Santamaria, has been an early childhood educator for 8 years. As a woman of Hispanic descent, Lee understands that children need to see characters that are representative of themselves. Therefore, diversity is a key element in every chapter within her book series entitled DLee World. As a child, Diana felt she was unable to relate to a lot of characters in stories she read, and feels that minority children are still represented in books today. In every book Lee has created, you will see a variety of divergent characters from DLee to her mommy, daddy, and Rai. Welcome, Diana. Are you on the line tonight?
Yes, hi, Veronica. I'm on the line. Thank you for having me on your show today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We welcome diversity because the world is just not black and white. It is
right,
multicultural. It is multicultural. So, I understand that your main character, DLee, is based on your youthful parents at the time. Tell us how you struggled with reading and what steps were taken to aid you.
Growing up, I I pretty much struggled with reading for a while, up till the third grade. And I was a quieter child. So I think due to that, I was kind of overlooked by a lot of the teachers because they were more focused, I guess, on the students who are a little bit more vocal. And so since like I said, I was a quieter one, I kind of feel like I fell through the cracks there. And so no one was really noticing that I was having a lot of difficulty. And up until I was in the third grade, no one really was paying attention to that. And that was when my dad kind of like realized that I was having trouble because he was trying to help me with my homework, but I couldn't read what was expected of me in the directions. And so from there, my dad sat me down every day and started working with me. He was using this book called Why Johnny Can't Read at the time. And then, I pretty much learned how to read through that. It was pretty difficult at the time, I would say, on both ends, because here it is a dad who's, at the time, my dad was working a full-time job, also going to school to try to get a bachelor's degree in architecture and design. And now he has to come home and try to teach his daughter how to read. So he's pretty much like frustrated and out of it and just trying to teach a girl who had difficulties learning. So I wasn't the type of child that caught on to things easily. Like it took me some time, and with a lot of time and effort, I was able to learn, and then excel from there. But it definitely was a difficult experience at that point in my life.
I know my daughter, when she was at the elementary school, Ebenezer Elementary, her teacher, she has an autistic son, but she never treated him any different. And he has graduated from high school now. But I love how she incorporated different things in her classroom with those students who were having difficulties reading and catching on. She never shunned anyone in her classroom, and I really thank her for that. I was like that mom that visited the classroom, that visited the classroom. So, and I sat and I watched how she would have story time, and she, the books just wasn't about, white America. It was Black America, because her kids, they're mixed. So she knew how I'm this white mother, but my kid's last name is Ortiz. So you understand, their last name, Ortiz. So, so here she is. She understood, the first it was my kid's last name was Ortiz, and then I have this son that's autistic. So I like how she, she incorporated those different things, the learning styles in her classroom. So with you being a quiet student, really a lot of times teachers, educators will overlook the quiet student. That doesn't mean that the quiet student is not smarter than the more aggressive student. It's just a lot of time it's that child's personality and sometimes how they're raised, what their culture is at home.
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of factors, come into play when you encounter a student, because had it been me as an educator and I got this really, really quiet student, I'm going like, okay, she never raises her hand. She's very, very quiet. I need to find out what's going on. So, I'm going to have a conversation with you. I want to try to pull you out and bring you out. And then I think had they done that, it probably would have been, it would have been caught earlier on about, the reading difficulty there. So how did your mom?
I'm not really. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was asking about your mom. What role did your mom play in helping you to become a better reader?
I would say it was more so my dad that took on that role, but my mom would. Yeah, he really took on that role.
Okay.
I'm not sure why my mom didn't really take it on, but I guess my dad had his own struggles. Like he struggled with dyslexia growing up, and so he felt it like a point to work with me because he didn't want me to go through the troubles that he went through throughout schooling. so he always told me about like how difficult it was for him just to even get like a C. So that he would like, transpose numbers, transpose letters, and it was really difficult for him. So he really took initiative to try and like get me on the ball with reading and comprehension and all the literacy aspects. So I would say he took like the bigger role in that case, but my mom would also like practice reading with me. She would read with me. And then there were times when, like, let's say I had to do a report in front of the class, like she would record me and we'd do practice that way.
Okay.
but like I said, it was mostly my dad though. Like my dad kind of like took that initiative, and I think it's because he had his own struggles and he didn't want to see me go through the same thing he went through. So,
and that's what I was getting ready to say, because he saw himself and he didn't want you to, to go through those, like you said, those difficulties and be shamed by, by other students. And so that I can understand him taking on that role, on that major role. But it didn't stop you from getting your master's degree in early childhood education and your bachelor's in communication studies. That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to be
applauded.
Yeah. You're welcome. And it didn't stop you from becoming an International Latino Book Award winner as well, a winning award-winning author. So that's to be commended.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, the difficulty I had was in my beginning stages of life, which once I was able to, learn it and continue to practice it and put it to use, I was pretty much able to excel after that. I mean, so thankfully, my dad did sit down with me, because after that, I want to say there was this one time I got a really bad grade in school, and I had to bring home the test to my parents so that they can sign it. Mm-hmm. And I think it was like a 60. So once they saw that, I got in trouble, and that was the last time I ever brought home anything below a B. So I don't know what it was about that, but like I really just like from that point forward, I just made sure that I was extremely studious. Sometimes it may be a little too much. Like I was the type of college student that would like fall asleep in my books, like on the bed, but my face would be inside the book. My parents would walk in and be like, "Diana, are you okay? Like, are you okay?" And I'm like, oh, I was just studying. I was just studying. So like, that's kind of like the kind of student I became after that. So, I mean, I owe a lot to my dad for, helping me in that, at that point. And that really helped me succeed later on. So that was a big reason why I wanted to create my series, because I wanted to, inspire children earlier on so they didn't have to struggle the way I did.
With DLee, I know, and looking at the pictures, DLee is the younger version of Diana. So, what was the appearance in relation to DLee? Explain that.
So growing up, I always had big glasses. I had red glasses, but I also had all different colored glasses. I actually didn't really like my glasses very much because I was ridiculed a lot with wearing such large frames, and I guess they were a little on the thicker side. And so people, a lot of kids, they can sometimes not be the nicest. And so I was made fun of a lot. And when I started thinking about a character, for some reason it hit me. I'm like, you know what? Not only do I not see myself, like as far as representing my culture, like my background, physically, but like I also don't see a lot of characters that are wearing glasses, a lot of characters that don't look like, I don't know, like the pretty princess in a sense. Like, I don't know how else to word that, but since I was made fun of so frequently, I was like, why not take a character like, pretty much a character like the way I looked and make that the main character, so that children can also see that there's different ways of looking and it's okay. So that's kind of like how that came to be. But especially, I specifically chose red glasses. It was one of my favorites. although I didn't really like glasses, because since I was made fun of so much, actually, I used to break my glasses a lot. And I'm sure my mom and dad were not thrilled with that, because I would break them thinking that, okay, I break them, I don't have to wear them. But then my mom would end up buying me new ones. And then she caught on to the fact that I was purposely breaking them. And then she started buying me those flexible glasses.
Oh, yes.
So that, they wouldn't break easily anymore. So anyway, that's pretty much how the character came to be. And my mom used to call me DLee growing up. She was the only person that ever called me DLee. And my name is Diana Lee. And I'm like, you know what? That's kind of a cute a cute little nickname. Like, it's cute. And then I just thought about it, and I was like, okay, well, I thought about my image. I thought about my name. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take myself and make myself the main character. And then, it grew from that. It was just an idea, and it grew from my own struggles growing up. And I was just like, you know what? Why not?
I understand that the books are the first five educational books in your series. DLee's Color Hunt, DLee's Outdoor Countdown, DLee's First Day of School. I can imagine that one. DLee's Nightmare Scare. Yeah, the first day of school. Yeah. And DLee's Bad Day. I see it says here that you created these books, for your students on enhancing their overall developmental abilities. Are there any other? Yeah. Are these books bilingual?
Yeah, actually, my books are all bilingual, because growing up, another thing with my dad is that since he came from Ecuador, he actually wanted to immerse us in the English language. And so we didn't really speak much Spanish. And then when I was teaching I was actually teaching in Newark, New Jersey, a predominantly Hispanic area in Newark, I noticed that sometimes the parents had difficulties reading with their children because they may have only spoke Spanish. And so when I started creating the books, I was like, you know what? Because back in 2014, there wasn't a lot of bilingual books. I want to say that now in 2021, we're seeing a lot more, an increase there. But before there wasn't many. And still, it's still not a lot. But when I was teaching, I noticed that, maybe I need to create something that's bilingual so it could do a service for the children to work with the parents who are Spanish speaking, or for children who just want to learn a new language with their parents. So it kind of served both ways, and I knew that it was really important. And then even for someone like me who grew up in a Hispanic home, however, I only heard it here and there, or when I was speaking with my grandparents, these kind of books would have been helpful, and so I wanted to create something that would be a useful tool for parents. And I think that's, what I was able to create here.
And it's wonderful that these books are in this series with DLee, is an educational book series, promoting bilingual literacy, diversity, and most of all, fun. You have fun while reading, because reading is fun. And
that's a big point. Yes.
Yeah, the books are bilingual because a lot of times you have the parents that come over to, they come over to America and they don't speak English as their first language, because that's not their, that's not their primary language. And you have the kids who are bilingual, so they're having to teach their parents, English. So it really does make it difficult, in not only in reading but in all aspects of their educational and the educational setting and atmosphere and environment for them. But however, they do thrive and survive. They do thrive and survive. So,
of course, yeah.
Tell us more about DLee. Tell us more about DLee.
So, like I mentioned before, DLee's me, and a lot of and all the characters within DLee's world are actual people in my own life that we pretty much turned into like cartoon images for the illustrations.
Okay.
And like I would take pictures of like a family member. Let's say for my dad, I took a picture of him when he was younger and I sent it to my illustrator, and I'm like, this is what I want the dad to look like, and this is what I want mom to look like. I want her to like, you know, actually kind of look like my mom. And then for the friends, they're actually friends of my life. I may not have taken on their actual name. For most, I did.
Mm-hmm.
But for some, I may have changed the name a little bit. But they're actual people in my own life, like I said, that I took an image of them, you know, as kids, and I asked my illustrator to create them into, you know, these cartoon versions. And so every aspect of DLee's world is a part of me. So whether it's a part of my my life as a young child, or whether it's a part of my professional life, you know, I've taken all elements of me and put it into my book. So even like for DLee's first day of school, for instance, I actually took images from my own classroom, sent them to my illustrator, and like, you know, this is what more so of what I want the classroom to look like, because I want it to be authentic. So when the children read the stories, they can be like, oh, this looks like my classroom. My classroom has a parent board. Oh, I know that we have cubbies too. You know, I want it to be authentic,
Mm-hmm.
not only, you know, so that they can look at the stories and relate to it, you know. So
Right.
that's a little bit about DLee's world. And like I said, it's very much a piece of me. This is my passion project. I absolutely love it. And a cool thing is when I do read the stories, I read it with animated voices. So I switch up my voice to fit every single character. And I find that really fun. And I think that it's important to try and engage children with different tactics. And one of the tactics that I use is reading with different voices, because I think it's just so playful, you know, and the kids really get a kick out of it. And when I do I do a lot of like virtual assemblies or even in-person assemblies. Lately, it's been mostly virtual given COVID. But when I do those, I also add in like, you know, fun songs, fun dances to like kind of get them in the mood to then sit down and then read a story. You know what I mean? Because I know kids have a lot of wiggles, and so I engage them in many different ways. And I guess I use a lot of the tactics that I learned from teaching. So, like I said, DLee's World is just a compilation of everything that I've learned up to now.
How, as an educator,
go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll ask you.
No, sorry. I think that sometimes there's a slight delay, so sorry about that. But yeah, so I was also going to mention that all of DLee's World books, they touch upon different objectives that I needed like or preschool teachers would need to teach in the classroom from the ages like 3 to 5, or maybe even 2 to 5. So the books touch upon those different elements. I made sure to include that, so they're also teaching tools.
Okay. My question I was going to ask you is, as an educator, and when you realize that you have a quiet student who resembled you somewhat, as far as being quiet, you know, and shy, how do you, or how have you, as an educator, incorporated DLee to reach one of those students?
You know, it's really interesting, but like I don't normally, if I'm in the classroom, I don't normally like bring out my books to read to my students. I don't know. I have initially, when I first started, I used my students' advice. Like for example, I had I was teaching a 3-year-old classroom when I first started the series, and I would read them the stories to kind of get a feel for the things that they enjoyed about it, or maybe things I needed to tweak, whether it be characters or the way I wrote something and stuff like that. But then as I progressed, I don't always utilize that. But if it's a quieter student, I usually just try to engage with them and find out things that they like, just kind of how I would with any student, but kind of find out a little bit more about them and try to engage with them and like chat with them about their lives and different things and get them to feel really comfortable with me so that they want to learn through me. I think one of the most important things as an educator is for you not to be intimidating, but to be open and friendly and nurturing so that they feel that warmth and they want to gravitate towards you.
Right, because a lot of times they don't have the nurturing and the warmth. They don't have that type of environment. So sometimes when they get to school, the environment at home is so chaotic and hectic that when they get to school, they tend to shy away. But, once you encounter a teacher that, brings out the best in you, it changes their world altogether, like it did with you. Well, your daddy changed your world. So,
yeah, my daddy definitely did.
Your dad did. And our parents, are our first teachers. They are our first teachers. They are our first teachers. And I see you have lesson plans that you've created.
Yeah, on my website.
Mm-hmm. Yes, on your website. Tell us about those.
So for the first, I think maybe 3 books, I created like little lesson plans that can easily be done in either the classroom or even at home, and like printables, like printable things that you could print out and like cut. And most teachers have like little laminators, and they're not very expensive. You can laminate the stuff so that you can like play different games. So like trying to think if off the top of my head, because I kind of made those a while ago, but yeah, I mean,
one is I like the DLee color hunt.
Yeah, I don't recall exactly what I created in that lesson, but I think more so is kind of like finding the colors within the environment and like reading the story and then moving on from there into an activity. And then I believe I created like color cards and stuff like that they could play games. So yeah, I mean, I created some activities that, like I said, they can be easily used. All you have to do is pretty much print them out, maybe do a little cutting here and there. You don't have to laminate, but if you want it to last, which most teachers do, they'll laminate them. But yeah, I try to create some fun activities that are easy and fun.
And I know due to COVID, you weren't able to do a lot of in-person events. How well did your virtual events go off? Because I'm quite sure the children enjoyed those, which you put on your different colored glasses and reading aloud, and then your animated voice and everything.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they really went. They were awesome. I was pretty surprised myself because prior to COVID, I never did any virtual sessions before, so that was like a first. And I was a little worried because, it's all on the computer and like it's, I guess, a little less personal, right? Because, they don't get to physically see me and like, but I was able to make it work, like you mentioned with the animated voices, with the singing and the dancing and just projecting my voice and just bringing a lot of energy. So whenever I do any virtual events, even in-person events, I just bring the energy. It's so much energy that I feel that sometimes as soon as I'm done, I'm like pooped as if I worked the entire day. But I think it's just because I take a lot of me and I project that, like that fun side of me, that basically that kid side that is able to create the books. I bring that side of me to these. I want to say it's kind of like a performance in a sense, right? Because I am taking this other persona, because it's not like Diana, me. Diana Lee is always that person, but there's a big part of me that is that person, and I have to bring that whenever I do these events. But yeah, they were pretty amazing. I was able to work with a lot of schools over the pandemic, and even prior to that, like in the summer, I had worked with the New Yorkers Poets Cafe, and I put on like a 4-week reading. So every week I read, I believe, 2 of my books. I did like some bilingual poetry and some songs. So it was really fun. I was able to do that throughout the summer last year, and it was really needed, because kids were stuck inside. There wasn't much to do. So I was able to, provide this free outlet for parents and for children. So I did that for 4 weeks. And then from there, when school started again, I started doing the virtual events. And like I mentioned, they were really, really good. And I got a lot of great reviews, and I was I was really happy with them, and I think the children were too, and even the teachers, they were like, wow, the kids were really engaged throughout. Like, we were a little surprised. We weren't sure how it was going to go, but you really did it. So I'm like, what, thanks. I felt really proud.
That is a great moment, because with the environment changing, from in-person to Zoom, and then having to set up, then sometimes you would have IT difficulties with Zoom. So
no, definitely. There's always like glitches.
Yes, because everybody was on using the internet
at the same time.
So at the same time, so it was overloaded. It was just overloaded, definitely. And it was like way down. Publishing your own book, writing a book, can be a tedious task. What steps did you take to become a self-published author? And what would you recommend for those who want to self-publish?
So when I started doing it, I had to do a lot of research. Fortunately for people now that, let's say, that want to write a book, there's so many resources out there for you. But when I started, there wasn't as many. Like, there wasn't like a million blogs about it. There wasn't a million like podcasts that spoke about it. There was none of that, so I kind of had to like learn a lot from scratch. But I did. And one of the ways that I did become an indie author is that I utilized what is now called Amazon KDP, was once called CreateSpace. So I utilized CreateSpace for a little bit of time to publish the first 3, which is basically like a very user-friendly indie publishing route. And then they were bought over by Amazon. So now it's Amazon KDP. It's super, super, super easy if you're trying to use it. The only thing that, you have to learn like different things about, the specs and the book sizes and like the paper weight and things of that nature. But for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. And it really is it's a free tool for anybody who's starting out. Another really great avenue that I ended up learning shortly after that was utilizing Ingram Spark, which is another it's another route that you can use to indie publish. And with Ingram Spark, what I really love about them, they're a little less user-friendly, I would say. Like, it's a little more difficult than Amazon KDP. Amazon KDP, for sure, you can, like, do it no problem. But Ingram, sometimes it might take a little longer for things to process because they have specific specs. There's specific things that you have to make sure that they have specific requirements, and so do Amazon, but I feel like theirs is a little bit more intense. So, I've had to do a little bit more back and forth with my illustrator on getting things just right. But with Ingram Spark, what I really like about them is that you are able to publish not only a paperback, but they also do hardcover books. So that's something that Amazon KDP does not offer yet, but Ingram Spark does offer that. So that's a great thing as well.
So Ingram Spark, which is INGRAM SPARK, one word, Ingram Spark, the self-publishing book company. So it's online? It's an online self-publishing book company.
Yeah, so it's I don't know if they consider themselves necessarily for only self-publishing, but yeah, and they work with a lot of libraries and big book companies, and so if you put your books on that platform, there is a bigger chance for your book to be seen by maybe like a big company that purchases in bulk. So you would give them, they would get a discounted rate for your books, but they might maybe buy like 500 books at one time. So it definitely is a great way. And then sometimes you might even get it, like, it's not necessarily always free, right? But I think they do charge maybe like $25 to publish ebook. I think maybe like $50 to $75. I don't recall the exact, but like to publish a paperback and or a hardcover book. But the great thing is that there's sometimes they do like promos where you might find a coupon code where you can do it for free and or make revisions for free. So so I always just make sure I look up coupon codes first to see if there's anything during that time when I want to publish and see, and and go from there. But yeah, those are two really good indie publishing avenues that if anyone is really interested in that, you should really look into those two specifically.
Okay. So how did you find your illustrator?
Actually, my illustrator kind of like, it's funny how life is, right? Like when you need something, it kind of just comes, right? Not necessarily at that second, but eventually it ends up coming and it just works out. It's kind of great like that. But so I had mentioned to my sister-in-law that I wrote a story and I want to have an illustrator, but I don't really know anybody. This is before like Fiverr was really big or any of those sites. So,
and I just found out about Fiverr about last month sometime. I never knew it even existed. So I'm like, what
really?
Is that again?
Yeah, I love Fiverr.
Yeah, I've never heard of it until that's what my friend said. She said, I love Fiverr.
Yeah, I love Fiverr because you can really find some like very talented people, and everybody charges differently, but it's pretty affordable, and you can get quality work done and fast. So I think it's definitely a cool site. I think there's another one, but I forget the name of it. But yeah, so before that was like a big thing. She mentioned that she knew a friend because she's actually from the Philippines, and one of her friends from the Philippines is a painter, and he's a really good artist. And she's like, you should connect with him. And I was like, okay, that sounds like a plan, right? I didn't really know. I didn't think too much of it, but I did reach out to him on Facebook, and we did a video chat one day, and I told him pretty much what I was looking for, what I'm trying to do, and I asked him if he'd be willing to work with me and work for me, like work for hire. And he said, yeah. So we started working on the first book, and it kind of just went from there. And we actually, we worked just through Messenger. So I just, we kind of just chat through Messenger. Yeah. Like when I have to make changes, like we pretty much work through there. And yeah, it's been like that for the past 7 years. And I owe a lot to him because he was able to bring everything to life for me. And I think that's like so awesome when you're able to connect with somebody and click with somebody to the point where they're actually able to take something that you thought of and bring it to life.
Wow, that's wonderful.
So it's been really great. Yeah, and so I owe a lot of thanks to my sister-in-law for making that connection. And like I said, it just kind of happened. And I was like, okay, great. Now I'm an illustrator.
In 2016, you expanded DLee to a new level. Tell us about that next level experience with DLee.
Now I'm trying to think back to what you're referring to. 2016.
Let's see.
I'm like 2014. I know.
2016, DLee converted it. You converted each and every already published indie story into a bilingual book with both the English and Spanish translations on the same page. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So sorry about that. It's just that it's been 7 years, so kind of remembering what happened when. It's kind of like, I know 2014 I published my first 3. I know that for sure. I think in 2016 also I won International Latino Book Award, and I think in 2017 I won a Moonbeam Award and International Latino Book Awards for one or two of my stories. So yeah, I mean a lot of things happened during those times, but yeah, I did end up converting the books into bilingual books because at first I started off with just English, and then I ended up seeing the need, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to convert all my books. Like at first it was just, I was trying to just, get one at a time, and then I was able to do it. I was able to work with my illustrator, and we made it into bilingual. I found a translator who worked with one of the big newspapers, El Diario de la Prensa, which is a big New York newspaper in Spanish here in New York. And I was able to work with one of their translators, and she translated basically all my books. So, you know, I was able to do that. And it was definitely a big game changer there, because there was a big need for it. It was really important to, especially since now in America and even like outside of America, Spanish is one of the main languages that are spoken. So I think here in the United States, it's number 2, and across the globe, it's number 4 or number 5. So it's definitely a big language that is spoken throughout the world. And you know, it's something important to be able to see, and for Spanish speaking children to be able to see their language there and see the English translations if they are learning, and vice versa. If it's English speaking and they want to learn Spanish, you know, here we have books that have both.
What social media outlets can we find you on, and how can we purchase the DLee series?
Oh yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I actually am on Instagram, and on Instagram, Facebook, I have a YouTube page, but and a Twitter, but I actually don't use Twitter too often. But for Instagram and Facebook, my handle is DLee's World, so just DLeesWorld. So just DLee at DLee's World, and you'll find me. And then for YouTube, it's just my name, Diana Lee Santamaria. But if you're not looking on a social media page, if you just want my website, it's www.dleesworld.com. And on there, you'll find all the information you need about who I am, what my books are. And I even have, you know, videos of me reading the stories. So if you don't want to read them, or if you want to see what the book is about, you can actually watch my video and see that first. And I believe there is a page, I don't recall exactly which one, but I think it might be about books or something, where you see all my books and you can actually play that, and it's an audio of me reading the stories with the animated voices. So yeah, so, and you can find my books on Amazon, and all of the links would be on my website. But if you are on Amazon, if you click under the book category and you just type in my name, Diana Lee Santamaria, my book should pop up. Or if not, you can type in DLEE'(s) under books, and all my books will pop up. So it'll just be like DLee's, and my book should be there. But yeah, so they're on Amazon, BarnesandNobles.com. I recently saw that if you look, some of my books are on Target.com also, and Walmart.com.
Okay, wow, so wonderful. Cool. That is wonderful. Walmart.com and Target.com. So they all, you can order those online.
I actually noticed that.
Wow, that is beautiful. That is so sorry. Are there any upcoming events for DLee?
Actually, no. I don't have anything in my schedule. I just finished my last big event maybe 3 weeks ago. It could be a month now. But I'm just kind of enjoying the summer a little bit with my son. But I'm actually thinking about what it is that I'm going to do next. But I'm also working on a script, because I want to create DLee's animated television series, and it's going to be a bilingual TV series for early childhood age children. So it'll be one of those kind of what you would see on a Nick Jr. and
oh yes, that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. How does your son, and how old is your son?
So my son is 2. He just turned 2 about a month.
Okay, so
maybe 2 months, almost 2 months now. Yeah.
Okay, 2 months old. So he's a newbie. Oh.
Yeah, he definitely is. He keeps me very busy, very, very busy. But I'm enjoying the moments, because they're going by very fast.
Oh yes, they will. Yes, believe me. Before you know it, they'll be in middle school, then they'll be in high school, then they'll be in college. Yeah. That part. I'm saying it
Yeah,
because
I know.
I've lived it, okay? I've lived it with 3. Yes. 3, 3, 3.
Wow. That's amazing.
I have. Yes, I have. I have enjoyed learning so much about DLee because I too wore glasses. Well, I started wearing glasses in 6th grade because I was nearsighted. I couldn't see the board. For the back of the classroom. So I can relate to DLee as far as the glasses go. I didn't try to break them, but I didn't like them very well at all. Yes, and they were big and ugly. They were. Jokes like, oh, you can see into the future.
Oh, yeah, people used to tell me that too.
Like, oh, your glasses are so thick, you can see into the future. Well, good. That means I'm making A's and you're failing.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, okay. Nice. Thank you. I was looking at like, DLee, I see your red glasses. Because my granddaughter, she wears eyeglasses, and I nicknamed her Lavender because her frames are purple, and that's her favorite color. So she puts them on, and she has a tendency to take and just push them up with her finger. On her nose. I know. I'm like, it's so comical. I'm like, hey, Lavender, I see you.
You know what happens? I feel like because I wore glasses for so long, I started doing like kind of like the nose crunch to like pick them up. It's like a lazy way of like, it became like a lazy way of like, I didn't want to push it with my hand, so I would just do like a nose crunch. So but I think back now, it's just like, wow. I mean, I don't know what's cuter, pushing it up with your finger or doing the nose crunch. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. So we can sign up for your email to be an email list to find out any new things that are coming up for DLee in the near future. Can we do that?
So as soon as of course, as soon as you get onto my page, actually a subscribe little icon comes up so that you can type in your email and then you can become a subscriber to the page. And whenever I do any email blasts or something like that with events or new videos for YouTube and anything that just pertains to DLee's world, you'll be able to get information about that.
Because I signed up.
Oh, you did? I did see a new subscriber.
And I was like, I signed up, and I was like, wow, Jay could really use a lot of these right here. These activities over the summer, I can go over some of these, a lot of these activities with her. Yes, I sure can. I thoroughly enjoyed.
Let me know how it goes.
Yes, I sure will. I've enjoyed our dialogue tonight. I really have. And knowing that although we just that minor, adversity of not being able to read, but you overcame that with the help of your dad, who was a big cheerleader, the major cheerleader, and and getting into the next level in education, and then you going from there, thriving from not being able to read that well in 3rd grade, getting to getting your your degree in communications and then becoming an educator. And I am so glad you chose education. I'm so glad.
Well, thank you.
Because learning never stops. So tonight I'm gonna close with this. It never stops. It never stops. And I thank you so kindly. I'm gracious that you came on tonight. I always end with a prayer. Most gracious God and loving God, how we praise you. Oh, God, we thank you for another beautiful day and evening. Lord, bless our minds. Help us to trust you more. Oh, God, help us to love others and be pure, not boastful. That our love be one that changes lives, boosts moods, and brighten days, and embrace diversity. In your name we pray, amen. I want to thank Jerry Royce and the Positive Power XXI family media, Christian media family. I want to thank the sponsor for tonight's episode, Mr. Oscar Collars. Thank you very much. And I want to thank my special guest, Ms. Lee Santamaria. I hope I pronounced it correctly. And DLee's World.
Fine. Thank you.
I encourage you all, that you're listening tonight, to go to the website, look at these things, look at what's being offered for DLee's World. I'm enjoying it. Once again, thank you
so much, Veronica,
for tuning in to Pearls with Veronica with my guest, Lee Santamaria. Thank you, Jerry. You all have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye. Good night.
Good night.
Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. Brothers and sisters, we do not want you to be uninformed about those who sleep in death, so that you do not grieve like the rest of mankind who have no hope. For we believe that Jesus died and rose again, and so we believe that God will bring with Jesus those who have fallen asleep in him. According to the Lord's word, we tell you that we who are still alive, who are left until the coming of the Lord, will certainly not perceive those who have fallen asleep. For the Lord himself will come down from heaven with a loud command, with the voice of the archangels, and with the trumpet call of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. After that, we who are still alive and are left will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so we will be with the Lord forever. Therefore, encourage one another with these words. Thank you for joining us, Pearls with Veronica. Thank you for tuning us on Tuesday night at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us and share the file. I'm Jerry Wills Live Worldwide, and welcome to Positive Power, XXI Christian Media. Late Night Radio.
You are listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.